I don't know about you, but I'm living on top of the world.
Well, this is Donna Means, and I'm back with you regarding my review for Greenleaf Season 1, Episode 5, Meaningful Survival. This episode I have mixed emotions about because I didn't get everything that I wanted. And I'm a bit disappointed, and I feel like we're halfway through this season and we don't have clarity as to what really went down 20 years ago and how it was handled. And I thought we were going to learn that in this episode because of what I saw in the promotions. And it failed to live up to my expectations. So that's why I'm disappointed. It doesn't necessarily have to be a bad episode. It's just disappointed me because I wanted information I didn't receive. So here's the deal. What this episode does do well is I'm beginning to identify the patterns in this show, and I don't know if the other people who are vlogging on the show have seen the patterns or have acknowledged them, but I'm seeing patterns. Like, I'm now always looking for a dinner scene. Anytime a dinner scene or we hear that there's going to be a family dinner, be on it because some drama's going to kick off. So that's one of the things that we can expect. In this family, I doubt that we're ever going to have a peaceful, wonderful, enjoyable dinner without something going off. So look forward to those dinner scenes. That's number one. Number two, I love how they use the resource pastor role that Grace has to deal with hot button issues. So you're dealing with Black Lives Matter. You dealt with the controversy of, whether or not to baptize without parental consent. Was the grandmother's consent enough? And that happens a lot. People take children to get them baptized without the actual parent's consent. It may be the grandparent or the godmother, what have you, because maybe the actual parents may not hold true to, a religious organization, or maybe they're atheists, maybe they don't believe, or maybe they feel like they just want their child to find their own path. And the grandparent wants to ensure that the child's protected and goes to heaven, so they try to get them baptized or whatever. So these topics do come up a lot, and this one happens to deal with, meaningful survival. When is it okay to say enough is enough, and this person doesn't have a sense of purpose, doesn't have a quality of life, and it's okay to let go. It shows the complexity of a husband and wife that's supposed to be united as one, but they are so divided on the issue on whether or not to keep hope alive for their child, or to be willing to let go. And what also it points out is how sometimes people get messed up behind things that they hear from the church. So in this scenario, here is baby Russell, the first child that the couple was able to conceive, because they tried and they had multiple problems. They get pregnant with Joshua. They see it as a blessed event, but then he's born prematurely, and the prognosis wasn't good from the start. They said, hey, he hasn't gotten to fully develop. He's going to have all kinds of health issues, this, that, and the other. And, this is something you may want to consider. The mother wasn't willing to give up, but the father was of the mindset that, hey, I don't want this child to have to endure all of that. And, you know, miracles happen all the time, so I can understand the mother trying to have faith beyond faith. After all, even if he was premature, he did make it out. He made it through. Why should we terminate the birth or his life? And then there was a point in which the baby had to have a surgery, and after the surgery, the mother had aligned with her husband and kind of felt like, you know what, this is too much. You know what, no one should have to go through this. But then the bishop came in and spoke a word and prophesied and, you know, renewed her hope and the possibility of Joshua and growing up and being everything that Bishop was saying he would. And each year that goes by and all the procedures, operations, treatments, different medications, all the pains of that the child has to endure, being up at night, not being able to go to the bathroom because he has this rotated bladder issue, and the great portion of his colon needs to be removed because it's dead, and you know, going through all those different things, it's hard for any parent. It would be hard for the child itself. And, you know, it's the older the child gets, the more time you get to spend with them. But, you know, he can't be like the average kid. You know, he's always in the hospital. He's always going through something. So I get that, you know, the complexity they introduce with the couple. And it's like, then the complexity of the church came in and told these prophecies, and the anger and resentment that built into Arthur Russell, the father, because he remembers the prophecy, he remembers what was spoken, and it didn't manifest, and now he's got to endure seeing his son go through all this. He can't stop the pain, he can't make it better. And this was all because they made a decision to allow this boy to stay alive when the prognosis wasn't good, but because the church said, or someone from the church said X, Y, and Z, they had hope that, you know, things were going to turn around. And so, and this happens. And so in this case where Grace says to her father, just let God's will be done, you know, just pray for that. You know, in situations like that, I think that's the best. Now, there are times where there's the Holy Ghost will come through in the seed and say something different. But unless you know that you know that you know that you know that you know, just pray for God's will. So it does that. We learned that Charity and Kevin are having twins. When they go to announce during dinner, however, Carissa interrupts and tells everybody at the table that Jacob is having an affair with Alexia. And she's, you know, she totally just takes the wind out of the sails of Kevin and Charity's announcement about the twins. When Jacob has to be set down, he blames Grace. He doesn't acknowledge his wrongdoing. He doesn't, he tries to lie about it, actually. And then he uses the fact his being set down to reconnect with his wife and say, you were right about everything concerning Grace. So now it's, of course, Grace's fault. Again, I don't get that. Why can't you acknowledge that you were blatantly sinning and that it's not a punishment? And then on top of that, I believe that Lady May has so much to do with him having this position, because the first thing he asks is, well, did you talk to Mama? Like, why did Bishop got to talk to Mama about it? I mean, he probably would because that's his wife and everything, but it's not a requirement. He's the bishop of the church. He deals with spiritual discernment and what have you. He is the leader it's what he says. But it gives you the impression that Lady May has everything to do with it. So he goes to his wife and says, "You were right about everything," and now they're reconnected on that level. Because he needs her as an ally to take Gigi out. Everybody's gunning for Gigi. Gigi doesn't care about anybody's positions. She's not like, I think it's funny because everybody can see all this stuff in Grace that Grace can't see in herself, or she doesn't want to acknowledge because her mind is focused on bringing Creepy McCready down. Grace learns that Sophia is listening to old recordings of Faith, and she was wondering why and how she acquired them. And Sophia shared, and you can tell that Sophia got a little possessive about these. Like, these are something that she seriously values, because she says to her mom, "You can borrow this one, but hey, as long as you return it." Like, this ain't even your stuff, boo. How you sit up there and make demands on it? But you can see that these are significant to her, and I think what it does for her is not only give her peace and allows her to get acclimated, but it helps her in some way get to know this aunt that she will never get to meet. Creslow. Bishop got his jet, and it may have been Damon Creslow's jet. He recognized the jet because Creslow took him to see Kevin Copeland. If y'all don't get the reference, then never mind. But I thought that was interesting. Lady May has to work with two stubborn people. Excuse me. Bishop and Connie Sykes. I didn't know when Connie left the church, she left the church. Like, I thought she was just leaving the service. She left the church. She's like, "I'm not deacon." I mean, Lady May comes when she can't convince her husband to reach out to Connie. Lady May goes to Connie's house herself. And you learn that Connie has been on the battlefield for the Lord for a very long time. She was on the battlefield when there was a storefront. She's been through the fire and through the rain. She has prayed. She has fasted. She has done every corporate dinner, fish fry, and everything to raise funds to bring the church up to where it is now. So, you know, and to May's point, you know, you don't want to let a good soldier like that go. You know, that somebody stay with you that long, you do not let them go. So anyway, Connie said, "If he can't come to me and talk to me, I don't have nothing to say." And she blames everything on Grace. Here it goes again. Grace, it was Grace's fault. She brought David Nelson there and da 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 da. And she said, "Well, I heard children could be a handful, but isn't Grace a prophet?" I said, "Oh, now, when people recognize gifting and talents in your children, and you can't see them, there is a problem." And, you know, again, they keep building up Grace's ministry. They keep highlighting the fact that she was prominent. They keep highlighting the fact that she brought the crowds. And they keep, you know, now, you know, Connie just added an extra layer talking about, isn't she a prophet? It would be beneficial to the bishop to heed her. And Lady May was like, "Well, I thought you didn't want the police in." She said, "I can deal with a disagreement. It was just the way it was done. But bottom line, Bishop needs to come see me. If not, we'll just be friends. Okay, May?" So, you know, Lady Mae realizes what she has to do. She jeopardizes the new jet in order to get her husband to humble himself, so he'll have to go to Connie's site, ask for forgiveness. And when he realizes he has to do that, he knows his wife is behind it, and you can almost see that the cuss words on the tip of his tongue for his wife. But he goes to Connie. He practices first, but he goes to Connie. He says, "Sackcloth and ashes." Connie, sackcloth and ashes. And really what that means is that he has remorse and he's needs to repent. That's as close to apology she's going to get. And he's like, after eating crow, because she's sitting up here fussing, "Well, I told you this and you didn't do this." "You're right, Connie." He's up here eating the crow because he knows he needs to. But at some point he says, "All right, enough is enough. The bottom line, what is it going to be?" And she said, "Well, that's for starters." And he said, "Okay, let's assume it's a list." But all she wants is a plaque. Kenny Collins' name, 1999, 2016, unforgettable. That's a deal. It's done. He's going to get his jab. And she's coming back, and she's going to be a chairperson of the deacon board again. So, Grace is taking over the administrative duties, but she's refusing to preach, although I saw in the previews that she will be preaching. Now, I wonder how they convinced her to do it, but hey, it happens. And that was pretty much it. I mean, Carissa was putting pressure on the teachers at the school, and it leads Isabel to cheat on the pre-testing for standardized testing, because bottom line is that with them calling the school Excellence Academy but not doing excellent in standardized testing, Carissa's right. They have to pull up the grades, and it made Isabel very nervous, so she started cheating or helping the kids cheat to get the scores, at least on the pre-testing. But what happens when the real standardized test comes? And that's what she's afraid of. If y'all didn't catch it, she was like, "Well, the test is by," she said, "Look, you want to change the test? Go into policy. You want to work here, you better get these grades up." So she resorts to telling the kids answers, bolding the answers on the papers and stuff. And now she goes to Noah and says, "Hey, look, Noah, after this wedding, let's be out. I can teach anywhere, but let's be out. Because most likely, those standardized testing scores aren't going to be that great. And by the time they get back, she can be gone. Consider that." And that's a little side thing. And when he's hesitant about it, she gets mad. It's like, "You just want to stay with Gigi, don't you?" Whatever. But if they wind up staying there any longer and they do the standardized testing and those tests come back and they're not where they're supposed to be, that's why she's trying to get away. For real. I mean, she may be tired of the Greenleafs, but sure enough, she's going to be in the world of trouble. If those tests come back and her students are so low, if they don't rise to the occasion. Like I said, this was just an okay episode. It does do some things well. I'm seeing the patterns with the resource pastor dealing with the hot button issues that are alive and active and impacting us today. And I'm liking how they explore the complexity of the issues, like the Black Lives Matter, like this meaningful survival, even with the baptism, because you'd be surprised of how many people do that. Now, I don't know what faith they are, because, as a Baptist, I'm non-denominational now, but I know that usually, unless you're of age of understanding and you can say, I accept the Lord, you can confess the Lord as your Lord and Savior, they don't usually baptize you. So I'm wondering if this is some non-denominational or whatever. Somebody talked to me. Somebody hit me up and let me know, what is it with everybody wants to blame? This is almost like we should call this Greenleaf with the subtitle Everybody Hates Grace. That's how it feels. Like she gets blamed for everything. Isabel can't stand her. Her mama, her sister, now her brother, her sister-in-law. Nobody wants Grace around. Like, oh my goodness. I need to know what happened 20 years ago, because maybe if I understood what she did 20 years ago, she must have raised all kinds. She must have tore it down in this family for them to hold this type of resentment against her. And the fact that she's come back, they didn't have to deal with it when she wasn't there, but now she's here, and it's like, so I need them to get to the bottom of this. And have you noticed that she really hasn't had any interaction with Charity? So they need to do something with that. I would need the sisters to at least connect and talk, and I'm trying to find out really what Charity's problem is, or is she just a brat? I don't know. Alright, hit me up if you have any thoughts. Like I said, this episode was okay. They had a couple cute moments. I thought the whole thing with the plane and Lady Mae mending the fences was cute. But it didn't do everything that I needed it to do for me. It was just okay. Alright, so until next week, bye.